الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. Verily all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him, we thank Him, we seek His assistance, and we seek His forgiveness. And we take refuge in Allah from the evils of our own selves and the consequences of those evils. Whomever Allah guides, none can misguide them. And whomever is led astray, none can guide them except for Allah. And I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except for Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His slave and messenger. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah. Be conscious of Allah and think of Allah as He deserves to be thought of. And do not die except in a state of Islam, except in a state where you are submitting yourself to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A few centuries ago, there was a scholar, a great scholar by the name of Sheikh al-Balkhi. And this scholar, Sheikh al-Balkhi, rahimahullah, he had a student whose name was Hatim al-Asam. And the student of his, who also grew to be a great scholar and he was known for his wisdom, his teacher, Shafiq al-Balkhi, asked him one day, he said, "Oh, Hatim, how long have you spent with me? How many years have we been together?" And Shaykh Hatim, rahimahullah, he replies to him, he says, "For over 30 years, oh my teacher." And so Shafiq al-Balkhi asked him, he says, "In those 30 years, tell me, what have you learned?" And so Shaykh Hatim replies to him, he says, "Oh my Shaykh, I've learned 8 things from you." In those 30 years, he said 8 things, and his teacher said, "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." 30 years you've been with me and you only took 8 things? And he says, "Yes, only 8 things, but I can explain to you what those 8 things are." So he says, "Okay, tell me what those 8 things are." And he came to realize that those 8 things were not minor things, but these 8 things are deep and they're comprehensive. And these are 8 things that he has observed and studied throughout his life that has led to what he deems as a successful life, or what he could take to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be successful with. So he tells him the first thing that I've noticed in these 30 years. He says, "I observed people. I looked at them. I looked at their ways. And I noticed one thing about them is that they have things and people that they love. Things and people that they are attached to. However, they love those things and they are attached to those things until they visit their grave. And once they reach the grave, once they reach death, they are separated from those things." So then he said, فَجَعَلْتُ الْحَسَنَاتَ مَحْبُوبِي. But he says, "As for me, because I noticed that, I made good deeds and good actions, righteous actions, my beloved. And so that this way, when I reach my grave, my beloved doesn't disconnect from me." That because, as the Prophet ﷺ taught us, he says that the person who passes away, they take 3 things with them to the grave. Right? 2 things return and 1 thing remains. He says he takes his family and his wealth and his deeds. And the family and the wealth, once he is placed in the grave, those 2 things go back. But his deeds remain with him. So he said, that's what I made beloved. That's what I made so close to me. That's what I was attached to. Striving for the sake of Allah. Sacrificing for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. doing these good deeds, that became beloved to me. It didn't become a struggle to me anymore. Right? I did it. I wasn't in so much struggle to get up for Fajr, but I looked forward to getting up for Fajr. When I had something to give away, I didn't feel pain when I gave that thing away for the sake of Allah. Instead, I felt joy when I gave that away for the sake of Allah. Because he fell in love with the good deeds. Because knowing that those good deeds is what will stick with him. And also the Prophet ﷺ taught us that these good deeds are the things that will protect us in our graves. These good deeds are the things that will protect us and intercede for us on the Day of Judgment. And there's plenty of the hadith, and he teaches us that the Quran will intercede for us on the Day of Judgment. That fasting will intercede for those who fasted on the Day of Judgment. So these good deeds are things that we can take with us, and they will continue to benefit us even after we die. So he said, that's what I make beloved to me. Before I go to the second thing, if people could please move forward, because the hallway is already filled, mashallah. And so he says the second thing is he looked at the ayah of Allah, the ayah in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ خَافَ مَقَامَ رَبِّهِ وَنَهَى النَّفْسَ عَنِ الْهَوَى فَإِنَّ الْجَنَّةَ هِيَ الْمَأْوَى. As for the one who fears the standing before their Lord and restrains themselves from their evil desires, then for them their abode, their place of resting, will be paradise. Their final destination will be paradise. And he said, I know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever he promises, he does not break that promise. So because of this ayah, he said, I made those evil desires and these evil deeds, that's something that I restrained myself from. Because I wanted paradise. So based on that ayah, I worked as hard as I can to restrain myself from these desires. So he made good deeds beloved to him, and he made these evil desires hated to him. And it's something that he worked on restraining himself from, something that he was very conscious of. As for the third thing, he said that again, he observed people, he looked towards people, and he saw that when they had something of value, something that was very expensive, something that they held dear to their heart, they did whatever they can to preserve that thing. They did whatever they can to protect that thing. Right? If you have a $10, $15 watch from Walmart, you need it for a stopwatch, you may use it. If you forget it somewhere, or if it falls down, you don't care too much. But if you have a really nice watch or a nice piece of jewelry, right, then you're going to put it somewhere very safe, in a safe, in a lock, right, in a security lock, wherever you can. You're going to make sure to protect that thing. And that's what we do with our valuable things. So he said, I looked at the ayah in the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مَا عِنْدَكُمْ يَنْفَدْ وَمَا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ بَاقٍ. That what you have, no matter what it is, whatever we have will perish. But whatever is with Allah will last. So he said, based on that, whatever I held in value, whatever was dear to me, I gave for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I gave it to Allah, meaning I gave it for the sake of Allah. But he gave it to Allah to protect for him, because he knows that whatever he gives for the sake of Allah, that's what's truly preserved for him. That's what he will truly see on the Day of Judgment, and inshallah in paradise. That's what will lead him to Jannah. And that reward will stick with him. However, if we have something in this world, then as we know, when we depart, that thing is no longer ours. But if he gave it away for the sake of Allah, then he knows that will last. And the Prophet ﷺ, he also taught us about this. When he slaughtered a sheep and he told his family to disperse the sheep, to give it away in charity. So he came back later and he asked Aisha radiallahu anha, مَا بَقِيَ مِنْهَا, what has remained of that sheep? And she said that nothing remains except its shoulder. Right? And we gave everything away in charity, but we just left the shoulder so that we could eat that. But the Prophet ﷺ corrected her understanding. He said, no, everything remains except the shoulder. Because whatever we gave away in charity, the reward of that is lasting. That remains, but the shoulder of the sheep that we'll eat, that will be temporary. We'll eat and then it will be gone. So the attitude here that the Prophet ﷺ was instilling in his wife, Aisha and his family, is that what we really hold valuable, when we give that for the sake of Allah, then that's how we truly save it for ourselves. The fourth thing he says is that he noticed that people they looked for honor and pride in different things, whether it's their wealth or their possessions or it's their family. Right? Somebody may think they take their pride in that I own this, I own that, look at my house, look at my car, look at who my son is, look at who my father is. Look what I have, right? It's all these things that we look for pride. Say, look at me because I have such and such. But then he said, I noticed that about people, but then I read the ayah in the Quran that says, Inna akramakum inda Allahi atqakum. That indeed the most honorable amongst you with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who has the most taqwa, the one who is the most righteous. So he said, I made taqwa my source of pride and honor. Instead of making anything material, instead of competing with people over this honor and pride, I dedicated myself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through my taqwa, and I allowed that to be my source of honor. And how many times, brothers and sisters, do we see people who may have so much in this world that they're looked down upon because of their character and the way they are? People people are turned off by that person. And the opposite, where we see people who do not have much, but yet they demand this respect and this love from people because of their character and because we see their righteousness in them. And it's like we see the light in their face. So that's what he said. He said, I don't want to look to these things for pride, but instead I will look towards the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for my pride and honor. Right? And the Prophet ﷺ also teaches about this. He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَأَمْوَالِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلَى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُم. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not look at our pictures and our wealth, but instead Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks towards our hearts and our actions. So that's what's truly important to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is our hearts and our actions. Where is that at? Instead of looking for that pride and honor in the way we look or in that which we possess. And again, please, for those, if you could move up, brothers and sisters, move up, because there are still people coming in. MashaAllah, we have the youth present today, because the schools are off, so there's more youth here, so we need to make more room for them. Inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. So, upon that, looking for pride and honor, then he said the fifth thing I noticed amongst people is that they would fight with each other, and that they would have envy for each other because of what other people had. And then he said, I looked to the ayah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that says, نَحْنُ قَصَمْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ مَعِيشَتَهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that we are the ones who have dispersed their means, their sustenance in this world. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that has given us everything. So he said, because of that, I understood from this that I shouldn't be envious towards anybody else. Because what others have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How could I be mad, or how can I challenge that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given? Why would I be mad at this person for having this wealth, or this car, or this home, or this family, or this look, or this skin color? Whatever it is, that these superficial things that we judge people by, that we have no control over. Why would I be envious of that? Why would I hate upon that when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that gave them that? So instead I should have that joy for them, and I should feel happy for them, because this came from Allah. This is a blessing that they were given from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he says, instead of having that hatred and that envy for them, instead I want to have that love for them. And the Prophet ﷺ, again, he teaches about this. He says, لا تحاسدوا ولا تباغضوا ولا تجسسوا ولا تحسسوا ولا تناجشوا وكونوا عباد الله إخوانا. The Prophet ﷺ, he taught us, don't be envious of each other, don't hate each other, don't argue with each other, don't plan against each other. Don't do all these things against each other, but instead be brothers for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Come together upon this unity and this love and being happy for each other. Because the vast majority of things that we hate other people for or we're envious of are things that we don't even have control over. These are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has just blessed them with. There's some things people work for, but other things Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to them. Where we're from and where our families are, again, our skin color, these are things that we didn't have any control over. We were born with these things. So why be envious over these things? And then he said, and these last 3 points I'll try to cover, to summarize inshallah. He said that the sixth thing he noticed is that, again, people take each other as enemy, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear to us. He says, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ فَاتَّخِذُوهُ عَدُوًّا. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it clear that our true enemy, our clear enemy is the shaitan, is the devil. So instead of making other people my enemies, he said that I focused my anger and my animosity against the devil, against the shaitan. Because as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, he is our clear enemy. And the shaitan made it very clear. He told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran that he will come from in front of us and behind us and to the right of us and to the left of us. He will come to us, he will come at us from all directions in all different ways. In ways that are direct and in some ways that are not so direct. And he will whisper to us and he will tell us things. And it's his goal to bring us down and to drag us down to the hellfire with him. And even the hate we feel amongst each other, or the envy, the source of that is from Shaitan. So he said, why feel that towards my brothers and sisters or towards other people? Instead, I'm going to put that anger and that animosity towards the Shaitan, who truly deserves it. And then he said, the seventh thing he noticed, again, is that people, they spend all of their time looking for wealth and looking for sustenance. But then he looked at the ayah in the Quran that says, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. That there is not a single being on this earth except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for it. So then again, why put all my time into this work and this effort where I sustain myself when Allah has promised me something? Now, of course, we do have to work and we do have to provide for our families, but that's not always the main priority. That shouldn't take all of our time. We should have time where we are spending with our families, spending with our loved ones, times where we are being productive outside of work, times where we are making ourselves better, teaching ourselves things, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised that sustenance. Please move forward, brothers and sisters. There are brothers back there that are standing. So please try to get together as close as possible so that others have room. So he says that instead of focusing on what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give me, I should focus on what I'm going to do for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what Allah is going to give me is already promised, and I don't have to worry about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breaking His promise. So instead, I'm going to focus on Allah's rights upon me, not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is supposed to give me. And the last thing he says, that I notice people always rely upon themselves and others, but then he looks at the ayah of the Quran that says, وَمَن يَتَوَكِّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever truly relies upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is sufficient for him. So instead of putting our reliance completely upon ourselves, or even those around us, our reliance first and foremost should always be on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whatever it is that we want to do or achieve, we always look towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. We always make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first. Because nothing is possible without the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No success could be achieved without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowing you to achieve that success. So he says, instead of replying again upon myself or others, the first thing is always reply upon Allah. Anything that you want, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then you do your part. Of course, we always do our part, we always do our utmost, but remember that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that truly gives that victory or that success. So always put your trust in Allah. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم استغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. So we see here from the 8 points of Sheikh Hatim al-Aslam, again something very comprehensive. And something beautiful about this is that we learn from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said that there are 3 things that have a right upon us. Right? He taught us this. And those 3 things, first of all, is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a right upon us. And then our loved ones and those around us have a right upon us. And then ourselves, we have our physical selves and our spiritual selves have a right upon us. And Sheikh Hatim's 8 things that he noticed touches upon all 3 of those. Right? The first 3 things is about himself. He says, I have made good actions beloved to me. I have restrained myself from my desire, and whatever it is I love, that I want, I give it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of that is a direct benefit to him. How he could make himself better. How he could work on himself. How he could bring himself closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The second thing is the rights of people. And he says those in the next 3 points. Where he says, first of all, for my pride, I didn't compete with people. I only looked towards Allah. I tried to have as much taqwa so I could gain that honor. I didn't fight with people for that pride. Neither was I envious of people for what they had, because everything they have is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And neither did I hate other people, because our true enemy is Shaitan. So instead, I was good with people. I loved people, and I worked. We work well with people because we don't have that animosity towards them. And as brothers and sisters, we should always have that love for each other and that wanting to be close, instead of, again, that envy and that hate for things that we don't even control. And a beautiful story from the companions about this is one night the Prophet ﷺ, sometimes he would go at night and he would do rounds around the city. He would go around the city making sure everything is fine, like a night patrol kind of. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Imagine, as busy as he was and the person that he was, yet he made time to make sure that his inhabitants were safe and protected even at night, in the middle of the night. So he does this one night, and he with him is Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Umar radiallahu anhu. And they're walking, and they come, narration says the masjid or a house, and they hear the recitation of Quran. And the Prophet just sits there and he listens. And the recitation is of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. And when he's done reciting, the Prophet ﷺ, he tells Abu Bakr and Umar, he says that whoever wants to hear the Quran recited fresh as it was revealed, just as it was revealed, should listen to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. Right, so imagine that honor that he gave to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud at that moment. To say that to hear the Quran as it was revealed, go to Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. And so Umar radiallahu anhu, he says, I was so happy for him. Again, this is in the middle of the night. He said, I couldn't wait to tell him. And so when the adhan for Fajr comes in, before they even go to the masjid to pray Fajr, he goes to the house of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He knocks on the door. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud answers. He says, oh Umar, what can I do for you at this very early hour? Nobody visits each other before Fajr. He tells him, I know it's early, but I just want to share some good news with you. I want to tell you that the Prophet said that whoever wants to hear the Quran recited fresh as it was revealed should come to you. Because he was so excited to tell him. And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud told him, Jazakallahu khair, lakin sabaqaka Abu Bakr. That thank you, Jazakallahu khair, but Abu Bakr already beat you to it. Right? That Abu Bakr already came and told me this news. As we know, Umar he would always compete with Abu Bakr, yet Abu Bakr would always beat him, no matter what it was. But the point here that I'm trying to take is that they were so happy for him and so excited for him for this honor that he was receiving that they couldn't even wait till Fajr. They couldn't even wait for the break of dawn or for daylight or for when they see each other on a regular basis. They were so happy for him that even before Fajr they went to go tell him. So this is the love, this is the type of love and excitement and joy that was between the Sahaba radiallahu anhu. They felt that happiness for each other. They felt that love for each other. It wasn't that envy and that hate. And they knew where to direct that towards the shaitan. And the final thing is, he says that he relies upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for his sustenance, and he relies upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything else. So that's where he gives that true right to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he puts his trust in Allah. That he recognizes who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and who he is. Right? That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, huwa al-ghani wa nahnu al-fuqara. He is the one that's completely independent, and we are the ones that are completely dependent upon him. We are in need of him of everything, even though he doesn't need us. وَهُوَ الْقَوِيُّ وَنَحْنُ الضُّعَفَاءُ. He is the one that is strong and able to do everything, and we are the weak ones that cannot do anything without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's our relationship with Allah, that we turn to him in all things. Because we know he has the ability to do all, and without him we don't have that ability to do anything. Without him we don't have that power. Without him we do not have that knowledge. So we look towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all of these things. So these beautiful 8 things are things that we should try to understand and implement. And I said the Sheikh, his name was Hatim al-Aslam, and I recommend for everybody to go and look up these 8 things. They're not hard to find. Simple Google search will show you these 8 things, and these are things that we should try to implement even for our children. Try to teach them these principles. Because they're not mine, these are principles, these are principle things that can ground us in our life and bring us that success towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that makes us of those who are able to understand these things and implement these things and benefit from these things. اللهم آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار. اللهم إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول وعمل. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونعوذ بك من الشر كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واتقوه يجعل لكم مخرجا. وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
Can you please straighten the lines and put the foot shoulder to shoulder. Fill up any gaps that are in front of you, please. And try to come as close as possible and try to fit as many as the line so that not too many people are in the back towards the shoes and even outside. And please put your phones on silent. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. ألهاكم التكاثر حتى زرتم المقابر كلا سوف تعلمون ثم كلا سوف تعلمون كلا لو تعلمون علم اليقين لترون الجحيم ثم لترونها عين اليقين ثم لتسألن يومئذ عن النعيم. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum. Just a reminder, please, that Musalla depends on our generous donations, so please donate generously so that Musalla could expand and move Masjid, inshallah. And also, please remember that we have neighbors. This is an office, a place of business, so be conscious of that outside. Please do not congregate in groups and do not be loud, and be conscious of your driving.